Welcome back to Prince of Persia 2008.
When his bad way to rip off simulator gonna end? I'm so tired of this game by this point.
That's what this game does to you.
What you specifically asked to end? Bad rip-off simulator?
Bad way to rip off simulator.
Bad way to rip off simulator, because all of this shit reminds me of the shadows from Eco.
And also
you can imagine that.
Not just that, and remember, like we've discussed in previous parts, Teo, this is basically the opposite extreme of Eco. Let's make the companion way too useful.
Let's not forget also the comparisons to Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, that too. So yeah, this is basically bad. This is basically bad way to rip off simulator.
Hey, you want to know a thing that was better, Shadow of the Colossus? The protagonist got punished for what he did. And yes, I know you could say, oh, the prince gets punished, but here's the thing. The entire world gets punished for what the prince did. And yet the prince still goes about it with a carefree attitude like things are gonna be fine.
Not just that, Jova. An entire race of people gets harmed because of what Wander did in Shadow of the Colossus, because Eco is all about the boys with horns being regarded as a symbol of a curse and shit, you know.
And this extends to some degrees to the next.
You gotta wonder. We know that Wander becomes a baby at the end, but does he grow up to be the boy from Eco?
No.
Most likely he's just a far descendant from and stuff like that.
Hey, at least he can be raised by his girlfriend, or the girl he lusts after, as far as we know.
Basically, the gimmick here is that you're supposed to open the door using the platforms here to open it slowly.
So, folks, the end is in sight. So you're probably wondering, for this DLC, there must be a nice climatic end to end all of this and bring things to a proper close.
I'm sure there will be.
After all, this was essentially made to basically try to give a justification to, the ending of the game.
Well, let's see how they do.
Because again, I can't stress out, the fan backlash really was that tight.
It really goes to show how, even though your game is supposedly fine, a terrible ending will send the fan base throttling for you.
Honestly, so far, this DLC just feels like the game overstaying its welcome. Like, just die already. No one likes you.
Oh,
The purpose of the DLC was like having, was resolved in like 2 minutes the explanation that we were given. Everything else is just basically gameplay gauntlet. You might as well it might as well be similar to the Bloody Palace mode in the Devil May Cry games.
This game is like taking a vacation to a swamp that you really have been excited to go to, only you don't end up having a good time and you end up getting the negative stuff. Like, imagine, you're excited to go to the Everglades, but when you actually get to the Everglades, well, it's fun at first, but then it gets all buggy and swampy, and then you end up getting bitten, so you come back home with a lot of mosquito bites, and they just stay and overstay their welcome, and you itch all over until the merciful end of those bites, except for when they pop. That does not go well. The point being is like, well, imagine this DLC being the mosquito bites you received from your journey to the Everglades. And, well, let's just say it ain't gonna be a pretty end. I'd think of a better metaphor, but this game doesn't really deserve my efforts.
Have I missed anything?
No.
Nope.
More gauntlet.
And that's another problem with this DLC. It's like, there is so little story. Like, okay, the main campaign was lax on story, but
remind me again.
It's a big escaping sequence.
Remind me again. Wasn't this DLC supposed to address people's complaints with the story and the ending?
Exactly what I said a minute ago. Yeah. But that's the thing. It supposedly, quote unquote, did it in like the first minute or two that it did. Like maybe 10 or something.
Well, you could have just added that cutscene with a patch and let it be like that. Whatever.
Yeah, that's actually a good. No, that's the thing. That actually is a good point. But I'm guessing they want. Keep in mind, the supposed gauntlets here are also supposed to be made in order to address, quote unquote, the fact that the vanilla game was more easy. The fact that there's no penalty at all. So the idea of making it more difficult was to just stack up more platforming challenges one after the other, where if you die punishment, but basically you're forced to redo that from the beginning. I think I mentioned it before. Compare this to Super Meat Boy, where the checkpoints are as a similar mechanic, but the checkpoints are much more merciful to you.
It really does
So
go to show.
there was literally no excuse for understanding how to do properly the difficult.
It really does go to show. You can have an incredibly tough game, but if you pace it well enough, people will be willing to learn and get better at that game. This
Or at the very least stomach it.
This has neither proper challenge nor proper pacing in how it experts its
And
difficulty.
unfortunately, the other thing that they, keep the players interested, the story and interaction with the characters, can be essentially trashed off because there's just not enough, unfortunately, to care, or they can be too despicable for you to actually, give a damn.
I compare this to a trip because a trip can be fun at first, and for those confused by that, I will stress, some people did find the main campaign fun. The problem is that everybody lost in the end, because even if you did like the main campaign, there was still that god-awful ending, which ruined the experience. Like, in a way that would make even Mass
That's
Effect
also
3
why
jealous.
I say that it feels such a waste, because at the very least, the way this could have been fixed, story-wise and gameplay-wise, was super easy to do, literally very easy to do, and yet, unfortunately, either they didn't have that hindsight, or just they didn't thought of it.
It always is baffling when
also-
they ruin something as easy as a reboot. Like, reboots are literally supposed to be made so that your plot can be easier to make, yet I see the
Not
concept of
just that,
reboots
to
screwed
start
up.
basically new and get new people to join the fun.
Why is it that so often in video games, reboots tend to not go as well as you would think they should?
Also, Job, I'll just repeat to you what I told you in our 13.2 playthrough. Job, this is Prince of Persia 08. No matter what you do, you will always fail. You will always come out a loser. let me guess, you won't cave in to this game on those grounds.
I mean, obviously I don't because, I got this game refunded when I first played it.
That's it.
Alright.
There we go. We can finally enter
Policy.
the door.
Fortunately, I didn't have to do that because I pirated the 13.2 back in the day, so I didn't pay it. I only bought it later on the PS3, long after it became its sales became relevant to Square.
It's really sad how nowadays, in a lot of cases, piracy is seen as the more honorable thing, with how a lot of video game companies are abusing people who actually buy the games legit. I'm gonna buy my games legit. Screw you, here's some DRM to make the game run worse.
Interesting floor. Oh, look at that. The Morning King has returned.
He can seek her, but he's not going to get her.
It is you he seeks. State your wish.
I wish you and Armin would go swallow yourself.
Yeah, he wants us to state our wish, but then attacks us.
Remember, technically speaking, the prince did a favor in releasing Ahriman, so Ahriman being a good sport, quote-unquote, he wants to keep his end of the bargain.
Which
But
just
the
begs
prince
the
is
question.
he's such a good guy that he doesn't want to end that.
So which begs the question, why are his forces constantly attacking us?
Because he's chaotic evil.
I really don't care for plots like this. Yes, that's right. I want to actually help the hero along the way, but I'm gonna send all these things that could easily kill him. I mean, don't get me wrong,
Let's
that's
see,
what...
Joe, it's all about the test of character.
It's like Eraser Jin. Here, go collect all the 7 rings for me, and I'm gonna send you all these minions to keep you from doing the mission I want you to do for
Not
me.
just that,
Like,
at one point he literally antagonized him directly for that.
Oh
Wasn't
god, that
that
outline.
was it one of the rings inside the Ifrit that he sent?
I mean, how
Yes.
Crash Bandicoot 2 did the same thing.
Okay, well, to be fair, that was actually Embryo who sent a lot of those bosses after
Well,
Crash.
Cortex did that as well, he said, help me, Crash, and yet he still had his minions in the way.
Prince,
Okay,
the
yeah, that
Elf is
was
still
weird.
there.
What you think of me? That I could do that?
Why is the Elf still there?
Maybe it's not the end of
Oh,
the
now
boss.
it's gone.
Oh no, it's just
okay, and that happened.
I have no idea.
Tio, you really do have a
had
knack
seizure
for
attack,
Tio,
I
you really
guess.
do have a knack for finding glitches in Ubisoft's games.
I have no idea, Joe. I swear on me, mom. Like,
You were referencing Sonic Mania earlier, Jova?
And I was
Like a DRM that makes the game run worse, specifically the PC version of that.
Oh, well, companies in general who are doing that, which is sadly becoming more
There could be a temple in
widespread.
a part of this place that we haven't seen.
You still won't admit it.
Hold on.
It's you that's causing this, not a place.
Wait,
You have the
oh
power now.
god, I hate this.
You know, I couldn't
So the
take him
prince's
outside
suggestion
office.
here is that
Or the
she's the one
outlets.
causing this,
I didn't come here
actually.
wanting this.
No, hold on.
I know you've
Actually,
been through a lot. But this isn't a day I want to repeat either. You just don't want to see what's right in front of you.
basically, what he's saying is that what we stated before, just as Ahriman power is growing, so the one over Mazda inside Elika. So that's basically proving his theory that this is the chance that they can have in order to defeat Ahriman permanently. Again, it still really doesn't excuse that the actions he did.
Also, kind of makes you wonder how the prince of all people came to this conclusion before anyone
Well,
else.
that's the thing, Jova. He took a gambit, pretty much. It's pretty much admitting to her face that he took a gambit with that, and he just paid off.
Like, don't get me wrong, I get that there are some story cases where a hero does need to take a gambit because there's no other choice. The problem is that, dude, the day was literally won. The only reason you're taking this gambit is because, for some reason, you didn't want her to die. Like, maybe you liked her, but, again...
Supposedly his argument is that no other people with the power of Mazda would have raised it eventually if Ahriman would have, come back to life once again. But that's essentially just an assumption that he makes.
Again,
There is no proof to support that.
it's like I said, he's suggesting, oh, you're the one doing this because you won't accept what's right in front of you. I'm like,
you're the chosen one, except that, yeah, she is, but so can potentially be another one in the future. Like, there's
Also-
no proof that everyone else is extincted.
also, not to be fair, but you did. How do you know that this is in front of her? What makes you think that she's been getting
And
a lot
further
of
note,
these
Prince,
either?
this is not even your fucking business in the first place. Just saying.
But Theo, oh,
Basically, we're having another fight with
Also,
the shapeshifter generals.
As I pointed out, anyone notice how in the cutscenes here lately, the black
Undersea.
outlines have been becoming a lot more noticeable on the characters, to the point where it's starting
Remember,
to get
John, I don't know if I
annoying.
told already, but this DLC was so rushed that it's only available in English language. It's not even multi-file, not even in the subs.
It says something that it's starting to show visually at this point, too, that it was rushed.
And remember, it wasn't even available for. It wasn't released for consoles only. Not the Steam users did not get this.
It's like, really? You cut out Steam? And let me remind you, back in the day, Steam was on the rise here and there. Like, they cut out a good potential audience for this game here by leaving Steam out.
well, usually when that kind of shit happens, a lot of good PC fans love to take these assets from the console versions and port them to PC themselves. So by this point, probably someone already did it.
That's also the thing, though, Pedro. Aside from some of the backgrounds, everything else is reused assets anyway in the DLC.
So yeah, in that case, it shouldn't be that hard for the fans to port it themselves,
Well-
considering there's been plenty of cases where fans have done that kind of stuff.
Here's the thing, though. It kind of shows how much the developer themselves actually cared about dealing with this issue.
Yeah.
Like-
For example, to tell you know how Arkham Asylum had exclusive content on the PS3.
Oh, we got that
Yeah,
ported to
so the
Steam via
Joker
fan
arena
modders.
thing.
Yeah.
What Jova said. Yeah.
But yeah, like Shuri said, it's like, well, this DLC is literally reusing assets. This should have been this easy to bring, but they didn't.
Not just that, you could say, oh, well, we could have done it like for cheap later down the line, like 1 year later or some shit like that. But no, actually.
Basically, if you want Arkham Asylum on PC but want to play the PS3 content, go to FitGirl's website and download her repack. It's basically the most complete PC version possible.
These two fights
But anyway, you were
against-
saying
yes,
before we started the fight, Perry wanted to say something.
Well, no, I was talking about were there fans that ported this to PC? I'm wondering. I'm gonna check.
I don't know, I'm not sure.
Well, actually, no. Actually, no. What I did want to say, I already said it. Never mind. Jail. Never mind.
Is
keep
it
going.
sad that I wouldn't
Oh,
be
we're
surprised
done
if
with
no
this
one
fight.
even bothered?
There we go.
doesn't matter what you try, Armin.
Yes, we get it. It's almost as if he's more trying to convince himself
So-
rather than trying to oppose to Ahriman.
Guys, doesn't Ahriman owe him a favor? So now the story is saying that Ahriman is trying to stop him. Like, if Ahriman owes him a favor, here's an idea, why not just make a wish? I wish to awaken the power within Elika.
Oh, I think I really hate... Yeah, I really hate this room. This is essentially your sort of final gauntlet before the final boss. And it kind of shows. This room will throw literally everything at you and to make it the more frustrating experience you can find. Hold on,
He
actually.
was laid to rest in secret. Pilgrims found his tomb. They built this.
Then we should hope it is an omen. Ahriman can be stopped. But Princess, if I die in the cause, cremate me.
You don't deserve it.
Give me the creeps.
You know,
Just
just
say.
for that, I'm gonna bury you here.
2 Craigs. Did your people breed these things?
Let's try them and see what they do.
There we go. Basically similar to before.
There!
Yeah,
The
the
wall's tilting.
there you go. The levers just move part of the platforms that allow you to progress.
Let's move this.
But yeah, allow me to sum up what a lot of people are probably thinking. If Ahriman owes him a favor, the prince could essentially maybe just, oh, I don't know, wish for the problem to get solved.
That's the thing, though. Like he pretty much stated that the only thing that he cared about is Ahriman getting destroyed. So I'm guessing that's a loophole.
Well,
or
here's
some
an,
shit like that.
well, here's an idea. Instead of asking for Ahriman to be destroyed, ask Ahriman to awaken the power within Elika that he's so
I'm
confident
pretty,
is there.
considering that is actually part of War Mars, I'm pretty sure Ahriman can't, because he's more like a satanic archetype.
One has
In
to
the
wonder, you know, Tio, it kind of raises the point that we don't really know much about our main antagonist, do we?
Nor about we needed a bit more of a lore dumping.
I mean,
In the
you know,
meantime, I have an answer.
oh, God.
Gone.
Basically, there's a guy on moddbb.com. But for those who don't know, it's a website that specializes in people sharing PC mods. Where you can get a lot of Sonic Generations mods on here, for example. Basically, someone did indeed extract the assets of the Epilogue from the PS3 version. And nobody has. They're out there for people who might want to use them, but nobody has volunteered to port this because
Nobody literally cares.
Wow.
nobody cares. I'm guessing, yeah, that's probably
You
it.
know that's a sign you done screwed up when no
Well,
fans
I'm guessing
want to do
the other best bet will be playing this on the emulator, the PS3 emulator. I'm not sure if it works properly because it's still experimental.
The current PS3 and RC PS3 is still in a very experimental
yeah,
state.
yeah,
I don't. It's probably not doable. We'll get.
Well, this is one of the oldest
It's
PS3
much
games.
better. This game was on the 360 though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in that case, it would be much better to use Xenia though too, because Xenia, the Xbox 360 emulator, is actually pretty good right now, so it might be able to run this one.
Yes,
Yeah,
Waves.
funny story, guys. I was just looking up who the writer was.
Yeah.
Found
Yeah.
his website, curiously enough, and I think I found out why the story feels so cliche.
Why?
Go
Why?
ahead.
He wrote episodes of Emmerdale.
Never heard of that show.
Me neither.
It's a soap opera.
Oh, good.
I'm not a very good one.
A British.
Just what we need,
Yes.
Tio. A soap
no.
opera writer, a British soap opera writer at that, for Prince of Persia.
Brilliant.
You know, now that I think about it, a lot of these lines do read out like a bad soap opera. The couple's constantly
Yeah.
fighting, the lack of motivation on any party's
But
parts.
apparently he was also a consultant for
At least.
for the writing of the Leighton movie.
Wait, what?
The
Wow.
English one, at least.
Wow, that's quite...
That explains a lot, actually.
Wait, I thought you liked
Wait,
the Leighton
wasn't
movie.
there a particular line that you didn't like that it was
Yes.
stranger in the movie?
Yes. Well, remember, in the ending, at the end when Whistler is saying goodbye to his daughter Melina, Melina specifically, remember what you always used to tell me when I was a kid, and he said, and in Hino's original script, he says, no matter, even when we're not together, I'll remember you when I play the piano, which explains why he starts playing the piano as his last wish before Grosky arrests him. But that dude that was just talking about, he decided it would be a good idea to change it to no matter where I go, you'll always be in my heart, even though it doesn't.
It was a consultant, not a.
It's definitely cliche enough to be from his consulting, though.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that is...
My problem is that, again, Hino's line was perfect and fit perfectly in the context of the overall story, and I have no idea why would someone change that. It worked perfectly in the English language. There was literally no need to
So
change
it
that
sounds like
line.
this soap opera writer is a guy who really wants to get into the adventure genre, considering the stuff he's been on.
He also wrote the Order of the Phoenix video game, I guess.
Jesus.
Wait. Isn't Order of the Phoenix the game with the record scratch joke at some point?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't see thanks to one of the Comic Cabin videos. Apparently, there's one of the actual Harry Potter games that actually incorporate a record scratch joke.
He also wrote for Micah Grove, a kids drama show.
Hey,
you know, at least one, sorry.
Hey, Elika,
You know,
yeah, your father's here just here to say this or that. Like, you know, it's like they forgot the nuance of the fact that this was her father who she may or may not have cared
Actually,
for.
no, he did write the script for the English version of Return to the Emperor, apparently.
Oh, so he actually wrote it.
You see, Theo, this is why level 5. Sorry.
Wait, apparently it says, in terms of like the companies that made it, apparently it says level 7.
Level 7. Oh my god, Peja, they went 2 steps beyond.
I guess.
It's like DBZ.
Either that was the name of the company that was involved in the writing, or he really got the names on level 5.
It's weird because the actual
also-
distribution company is Viz Media, so it's weird.
So,
But yeah,
wasn't that
this
interesting?
is why.
Also, he was supposed to write the Fable Legends, but oops, that didn't happen.
You see,
Wow.
this is why Level 5 created their own localization department. Not just because of, don't get me wrong, it wasn't just because of it, was also because of the terrible English dub of Little Bowser's Experience, and the Inazuma 11 English dub, at least the original. And unfortunately, in recent times, they've, well, no one is doing them now, actually, so others will get better. So basically, some spotty dubs here and there, too. That's why Hina decided to, you know, I will just do them ourselves from this point on.
Hey, Armin, you're the Prince of Favor, but one of your underlings nearly killed him. So...
I'm pretty sure that if he manages to kill him before, you know, getting the end of the bargain, it's better for him.
You know, at least in Sonic and the Secret Ring, some of the enemies Eraser Jin pitted Sonic against were the ones withholding the ring, so it made sense. But here, what does Armin want to do? Does he want to kill the prince before he can reach him to ask him this favor? Or is he just being a sly bastard? I don't know.
You know, Dwebs, at least Level 5 hires British soap opera actors, not writers.
So let
I
me get
guess
this straight. So the same guy who wrote this game's plot also wrote Lane Eternal Diva. Wow.
the English version, obviously.
That's quite an interesting connection. And may or may not have been involved with the Harry Potter video
To be
games.
to be completely fair, the English script for Eternal Diva is, for the most part, fine enough. It's only really that one line that I always bring up that
I'm
really.
more baffled that instead of actually asking for the people who actually localize the games, they ask this literal who out of nowhere.
Well, remember at the time Level 5 did not have either localization department and Level 5 Abbey
and
was not a thing at the time.
Since the West it was Nintendo localized it, they couldn't ask for them, I guess.
Well, the localizations of the original Herschel Saga, that was done by Nintendo with Level 5 cooperating. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh wow, look at that, a skull effect. How
What a generic
interesting.
line.
Apparently, he was also involved in the film 3D.
Oh, goody! That guy is just wonderful,
Wait,
isn't he?
wait. I'm sorry. What was that?
Seriously, what the fuck is this comedy?
A
Also
Tomb
Tomb
Raider
Raider.
who doesn't like tombs.
It's so ironic.
Why are you taking the worst from Media Game?
I mean, you've been there.
Well,
Well, actually, this was before that game, Jova, to be fair. Yeah.
So you could say that this game. What is that in the background?
Holy crap, Tomb Raider 2014 ripped this off.
And then nothing. Just
Yes, but there is one thing you can say about the
Oh.
Tomb Raider reboot that you can't say about this one.
Like I
Yeah.
said,
It's actually fun to play.
overrated.
That and that one
This
made
king,
it past the first
How did
game.
he and the Order fight Armageddon?
True.
Buzzing.
Unless you want to count the DS.
It took
Actually, no,
Ormaz's
that wasn't
power
even a
to
sequel.
stand
That was
up
just a
Armin.
port.
To defeat him.
So there you are,
And even
Ubisoft. You
then,
got
they almost
outdone by
But they fought.
I guess
Square
They found an
Enix.
answer. They
Crystal
won.
Dynamics and,
You
and
created
Crystal
this
Dynamics.
Hold
Sure.
on.
I want to believe I can save you from it. There aren't simple answers. We can stay alive for now, but that won't stop Ahriman. He will sweep the world clean of all who oppose him.
You know what Armin did when you died?
You don't know that.
He was happy. He wasn't.
don't know that.
No, he was defeated. He was locked away. Why would he gloat?
Stop him escaping. That's why he's after you now. He's afraid you can stop him.
Yes, the same way we did the first time, which involved her dying,
Gather the
moron.
light.
By the way, honey, I actually
Lengthen it,
whatever.
There is nothing we can do to stop it.
You're wrong. I thought I was the one that left everything behind and didn't care.
I thought you were the one who didn't believe.
There's something about being swallowed by a god and seeing people come back from the dead that changes your perspective.
When did that happen to you?
Lost your faith and kept your
No,
It
so
happened.
that-
It happened off screen.
I mean, the way he says it, he's implying that happened to him, but no, if anything, that happened to Elika.
Yeah.
If this king can stand and fight after the city is lost, why not you?
He He
The
ran
king
and
has
feared
kind of
like
been
others
under
until
the
Ormaz
influence
finally
of Armin.
heard
He's maybe not the
Also,
best
no, you're talking
example.
about the one in the tomb.
What do you
Oh.
think the Uruk
Then what does he
can do
mean
for
by that,
thousands?
being able to fight?
He
Joe,
was
it happened.
referring to something. Oh, Pedro, please. He was referring to something, but he was talking about while you guys were talking over it.
The city turned to dust.
I mean,
Your
I
faith
must
didn't
have
crumble.
forgotten that.
And your powers haven't either. If they come from Ormaz, you must have some connection with him.
Oh, that.
No right to bring me back. You've endangered everything, everyone.
I know, right?
And you deciding to offer your life without saying a word was just fine.
That's mean-spirited and you know it.
Let me
She,
be
she
like,
didn't have a choice, you jackass.
sure, what are you saying? It's so inconsiderate of her to sacrifice her life to save the entire world.
Oh, he can throw himself off a ledge.
Honestly, yeah. After this
see, right,
is
that-
done,
that's the-
like,
that's the problem. That's the
I
problem.
don't even I don't have any more patience for him.
Sorry, what, Dwibs?
That's the problem, though, Sierra. He can't.
Oh yeah, that's
he
right,
does,
because
she just
Elika
said-
will just save him. Again, one of the few clever moments in this
God
game
damn
was
it.
actually having Elika save him to prove which one was the real one.
It's
But yeah, seriously, pretty much this is the game telling, yes, the prince is wrong, but you have to deal with it.
Don't you see, guys, the prince may have been right, even though we're not going to explain a lick about how he knows any of his
Not
stuff.
just that, as you may notice by the dialogue, he repeatedly, constantly lies to Elika just to prove his point. What a charming protagonist. Like I know that this is supposed to be a reboot and I shouldn't be comparing this to the original series, but even at its worst, even in its edgelord ugly face, the Prince in Warrior Within never did something this despicable. Yes, he
Yeah.
may. The worst that happened is that he enjoyed stabbing Carrion from the back at the end, and even then, you can chalk up to that being an error of the animators potentially. Here, it's an entire writing problem.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, I know some people may say it's cheating, but the heck, the third game actually went out of its way to explain why he acted that way in the second one. Didn't necessarily excuse it, but at least they explain it here. We have no explanation. We have no idea of where we're even going with this plot. I mean,
oh good, another one of
Another one,
these.
yeah.
you know,
I'm also
okay,
getting tired of these
Shapeshifter,
too.
why not use the Alchemist and the
Yeah,
Concubine?
like I said, we only uses the warrior and the hunter. Why?
I don't even
Anyway,
with this game.
sorry.
But yeah, in case it doesn't get mentioned later, let me do it again. Because it may have been done in the dialogue when we skipped over and we didn't notice as well. The thing is, the DLC ruins also the character of Elika, believe it or not. Because one of the dialogue lines, forgot specifically which one, basically tells that she was willing, or she's not that much above the prince in terms of moral ground, because she wanted to supposedly avoid this responsibility of being Ormaz, the incarnation of powers. So basically, this DLC serves only to ruin both the prince and Elika in one fell swoop. The
I
game
don't
is
care what happens to the world.
pretty much.
You know
The
what,
game is essentially telling me that it would have been feel better if this DLC did not happen.
No, it reminds me.
Yes, babes.
Yeah, that bit in Pan where
Nobody cares about your darn mother.
No, not. You know that bit where the princess was, where Tiger Lily was scolding
How
Buck
close are we to getting
for
out of here?
telling them
Close.
where the map
Once
was,
we get out of
even
here.
though
Then let's get
for
out of here.
selling them out and lying, even
Yeah.
though she did the exact same thing to a child, i.e. Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that, threatened
Like-
him with
like-
death if he didn't fly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, yes. Yeah, but literally I couldn't even think of a reason why the movie tries to have us feel more for Tiger than Hook.
Like, I don't
Even
mind
though-
a situation.
Arguably,
Oh my God.
even though arguably her lie was worse.
Yeah, heck, if
Yeah.
anything,
Like,
Luke
I
was
don't
trying to
mind a
save
situation. I don't mind a situation where a character turns out doesn't manage to have, a better moral ground and turns out to be a hypocrite. It's usually done to prove a point of there being, a more balanced characterization between, two characters, and sometimes to have a moment of crisis that needs to get resolved before the climax. Which a lot of times it's not, that writers don't get right, but it's besides the point. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. Here, you're basically just telling me that both of these characters are really despicable and the world is in their hands.
Not only that, but
We're
it goes
such
against...
screwed.
Not only that, it goes against the idea, though. So you're telling me Elka is too afraid to take on the responsibilities... Eh?
Honestly, I would take Fang and Eddie Sperry over these two. Any
Yeah.
day.
Even Arlie over these two.
I'm talking about just Fang to protect Well, of course, Pedro, because the only thing. But although I'm not sure, I'm guessing if they had the possibility, they would have done even the sexual angle here. I'm
Yeah.
honestly convinced about that. But otherwise, compare this Fang and I keep forgetting her name. Erin, thanks. Erin and Fang are essentially harmless. Yes, they have bad comedy skits, but that's pretty much it.
At the end of the day, they're still
most of the
heroes looking
offensive
to
part
do
of
the right
preference have
thing.
come from their suffering on other characters' ends.
Well, to be fair, there are moments where, remember, they're emotionally abusing Tiara and the evil goddess Shroud and stuff
Well-
like that. So they have their
That's
moments.
because she gets turned on. But whatever, I'm
To
missing
be
the point
fair,
anyway.
Tiara
Hold on.
kind of encourages that.
Anyway, time for the final stretch. We're actually that close to
Boom.
the end.
So, we gonna do this again?
Get out of here!
Oh God, please no.
Yep,
Final
here we go again.
Basically, this is your final boss. Again, another fight with the king.
This is kind of anticlimactic.
Again, I don't even mind the choreography of the fight, which it tries to be, more akin to the traditional, swashbuckling thing.
The original game. Yeah.
Not just that, yeah, that too, but the acrobatic skills instead of just being another beat 'em up button masher, try to be elaborate more of a dance. But everything else built around it just makes it painful, unfortunately.
Well, that's what I meant. I mean, sure, the choreography is fine, but it's not really grand or anything.
And I mean, I do commend the mocap, actors because all of these was done mocap, mind you. The more super acrobatic style, like hyper jumps, but most of this was actually mocap, Mortal Kombat style. So I do commend most of the actual actor to, doing a fine job in replicating the movement and everything. It's just sad that he was replicating to this.
So much effort put into a game that would amount
I
to
actually
so
do
little.
wonder if Nolan North had to mocap this as well.
Nah, probably not. When
wouldn't
it
be
comes
the
to
first
action
time it's
sequences,
been
And also around the time, I guess the technology wasn't that elaborate yet.
No,
I think Sony was
the-
the one that pioneered it.
regardless of that, Teo, when it comes to action sequences in mocap, it's not the actual actor who does it. They actually get someone,
Yeah.
some stunt people to do it, because since it's mocap, it doesn't matter who actually does the movements, because you can just put the model on the mocap data anyway, so nobody will even know who actually did the mocap.
Actually, I
So
wonder, did Yuri Lowenthal had a stunt for Spider-Man? Or
I'm
did
pretty
he
sure.
do
I'm pretty sure they all did too.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the good advantages of mocap, is that it doesn't matter who does. As long as the character sounds the same all throughout, it doesn't matter, because you can just make the model always look the same, regardless of who mocapped it.
Basically, what you're supposed to do is to push the king towards the ledge. Unfortunately, you cannot actually unharm him, and he keeps dodging or, parrying all your attacks, and it's so painful. Finally.
Wait, so his life, but his life bar is still what?
Because he kept parrying and dodging all my attacks. I just said that.
Oh, okay.
I guess he's susceptible to a headbutt, though.
It's such a weird way to structure.
So your sword can't hurt him, but a good old headbutt, nah, that'll totally knock him.
Well, no, he's out.
Oh, I get it. It's because we need her. Okay.
We need her. Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
No, basically, but however, we still need to push him as well.
Oh, great.
Oh no, Elka's
yeah,
powers aren't working for some reason.
Basically, if you see there are some, basically now the game will try to be very cute and try to homage the very first game. The Prince of Persia game. You will see in a second. Basically, all I need to do, you see that throne in the end, I need to push him there. You will see what happens.
I'll just use the same argument I made in Sonic 06. Oh look, a reference to the original Prince of Persia. So that only makes me wish I was playing that game instead of this one.
Yeah, oh, don't worry, the coup de grace crap has yet to begin.
Pretty much.
Le coup de merde, Twibs. But yeah, that's the thing to remember. Back when, at the time, they were just starting out as a independent publisher, so obviously, well, I've had no way to publish anything because, they literally just become fully independent from Sony, so obviously, they didn't have quite that ground to have it, so they had to get help from Nintendo to localize Inazuma 11 and Professor Layton.
That actually still is, even more puzzling instead, because that by that point you would think that instead having the same people would have been, more cheap, quote unquote. But I'm guessing they hired this guy to write because it was a bit more professional, I suppose.
Well, it's
oh,
that.
Hold on, here we go.
Sorry.
And hold on.
Have a seat.
There we go. Impaled on spikes, because that's kind of a staple in the classic Prince of Persia games. Let's just say that.
And that sends her father
No,
to peace.
she couldn't actually, exorcise him. So now, with the final boss, now final stretch of the game will be another Iron Man confrontation, and we'll finally get out of the palace.
Oh,
Sure.
boy.
Anyway, go on, Pedro.
Well, it's like I've said there, it's a combination of various factors. Like I said, the English dub of Little Battlers Experience was terrible. Like we've just discussed, Eternal Diva's localization, while fine for the most part, also had its issues here and there. So, and he prides himself on quality on his product, so he wanted to make sure he added a proper localization department so they can actually localize shit themselves and have that quality control. And remember, Theo, Richard Mark Honeywood was the localization director of Dragon Quest back when Dragon Quest 8 was localized. So he was actually familiar with him, so that's why he got him to head the department. And later on, we got Level 5 Abby to handle the animes like Yokai Watch. So basically, it's to prevent shit like the Little Battles Experience English dub from happening ever again, basically.
Okay.
That's why the English dub of Yokai Watch is as good as it is, because actually made sure he got people that actually cared about what they were doing.
Also, where did the music
So, what was up
went?
with the Asian dub of it?
Oh no, that's the. Hold on, I'll get back to you.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Dun dun.
Well, turns out that killing him did nothing. That's nice to know. Yeah, the priest reaction said it all.
Wow,
we ripping off the ending of Woman in Black.
How funny! We had that whole heartfelt scene between her and her father.
Okay.
Sorry, Dibs, no matter what you do, the bad guy just wins.
No matter what you do, Dwibs, you will always fail.
Okay, I should stress.
If I wanted a game like that, I would play Robot Unicorn Attack.
I should stress, I meant the movie Woman in Black. I have seen the theatre play, that definitely has a punch back.
But to answer Jova's question, no, Jova, see, here's the thing. When it comes to anime, it's not just Yokai Watch, Jova. Pretty much all animes tend to have two English dubs. The American dub that usually, or maybe even some even have UK exclusive dubs. But Cartoon Network Asia usually has their own unique dub that is made specifically for Asian people. Sorry, for English-speaking people that live in Asia, which is. Here's the basic gist of it, Jova. The American dub made by Level 5 is a proper American dub with the English names and shit like that, but the Toonami Asia dub, that's a dub made for Asian people, which is why it's basically a literal translation with the exact Japanese names. Basically, it's a dub made for weebs, I guess.
Oh, wait, let me guess. It's because, Asia has, like, a whole bunch of different countries within it. So
Yeah.
basically, to cut out the middleman, they
have their
do it
own-
in English.
They have their own dubs. It's not just Yokai Watch Jova. If you look it up, you'll find that there's a lot of English Asia dubs for a lot of animes. It's actually much more common than you think.
Makes
So,
sense, I guess. I mean, they go with
could be
English.
worse. It could be stuff like the Singapore dub of Yu-Gi-Oh.
Level 5 had nothing
Oh
to do
yeah,
with the...
that was a fake.
Dude, Yugi!
Level 5 had nothing to do with the Asia English dub, because when it comes to English market, usually Level 5 looks at US and Europe, not so much that particular part of Asia.
It shows. So, okay.
There are a couple aspects of that Asian dub that actually are fine, but yeah, I do prefer the American one, but go ahead.
So,
No. Basically, what I'm trying to get, what I was trying to get, was that one of that last fresco, but it's kind of tricky.
So
we go.
yeah, we're technically fighting our man. Well, not fighting, but we're having
He's
another...
just chasing us again.
Discolored, wait.
And
Truth be told, this is, if you ask me, this is a sort of a better final chase sequence than one in the vanilla game, because at least you can see shit most of the time.
Though it kind of takes away that thing where he was attacking you with his fists for quite a bit of time. And also, here's the big question. So, our man, how about that favor you owe the prince? You gonna offer that and then kill him?
I'm pretty sure he has already gone past by that.
So, so here's the question. What was the point of bringing up that favor or wish? Nothing.
Well,
I guess there was no point.
Sorry.
I mean, again, game, don't bring up this incredibly big plot point if you're gonna do nothing with it.
Sure.
It's just a hand wave. It's literally what it is.
It's a bad hand wave.
He doesn't even
worry,
know
guys,
what he's doing. Oh my god.
Seriously, you don't even know what you're doing.
How more of a train wreck can this be?
But don't worry, guys. We'll explain it more in the sequel.
I'll get back to you that on the end credits.
Remind me, Tio, was the DS version a sequel,
I'll
actually?
get you back that on the end credit sequence too, Jova.
Goody.
Sure. Remember, Teo, Giant Quest 8 was Maria Darling's level 5 debut, not Curious Village. A lot of people tend to forget that.
And we're done.
The escape
just
route was
stops
there the
chasing
whole
it.
time.
Hold on. This is actually the ending, guys. Just hold on. Just listen
Just because
and
he's
watch.
growing stronger doesn't mean
If I couldn't stop him now, how can I ever hope to? Ahriman is free, and he will only grow
By the way,
more
Elka,
powerful.
your hair is changing color. Just thought I should mention that.
It's
we have to
lighting
get out
fucking
of
up.
here. If we cross
Really
the desert,
bad
there's a
one.
city 2-3 days from here. Or there's a port. It's further, but we could cross the sea, find
All
somewhere
doomed
further
thanks to
away.
you,
Go where
idiot.
you will. May Ormaz watch over you.
Elika, you can't do this alone.
I know. That is why I must find my people.
There we top. And honestly, I don't blame her.
I'll try.
She's gonna find the remaining aura.
So
So
what was
if
the
you
point
find
of
it-
this?
Wait for it.
What?
And that's it.
Yes.
We're done.
Seriously?
Wait, what?
It doesn't even
Have a
end.
nice plot, everyone!
That's
Wait,
pretty
what?
lame.
Wait.
Okay.
I-
I'm not gonna ask you to give your final thoughts once again because this is so painful. But I will still ask if you want anything to add. Feel free to go, but you don't have to repeat everything again. Dweebs.
Well, honestly, I thought the game's plot was just boring in the first place. It just didn't exactly change my mind. Did it?
But would you agree that this makes things worse, or it just keeps on the same level?
Same level.
All right then.
It was boring then, and it's boring now. So,
Well, would you say that at least it wasn't insulting like this?
Well, I've definitely seen worse endings.
And the credits are lame. Jesus Christ. What a mess.
The nicest I can say is that I've seen worse endings in fiction in general. But...
Okay, Pedro.
Pedro
.exe has encountered a problem. Okay.
That thing took so long, and yet the ending was like the most. Oh well, by the way, it's over. Bye. Like it. Oh god, that ending was one of the most rushed endings I've ever seen.
Go and tell me again that the ending of Azura's Wrath is bad. The DLC of Azura's Wrath is not worth it again.
Azura's Wrath actually ended.
I'm not telling this to you, Pedro. I mean in general, because Jesus.
Whatever.
But when it comes to the argument of bad DLC epilogues, sold to people for stories, this should be brought up. But anyway.
To be fair to you, that would require people to remember this game exists.
Honestly, it needs to. It needs to be used for teaching a lesson.
At least the ending of Ni no Kuni 1 wrapped everything up, but whatever. Yeah, that sucked. Moving on.
Shirai.
Right. I mean, it was so boring.
Aren't you so intrigued to following these charming and, so likable protagonists?
Our protagonist
no?
Our male protagonist had no personality, and when they give him one, he's an ass.
Mm-hmm.
And, the female protagonist isn't much better. It was boring up until the end where they kind of just had a falling out and parted ways. That's kind of whatever. But the only thing I can add is I hope that this whole thing works like a Bluetooth, so now that she's far away from him, he'll actually die if he falls off a cliff.
Alright, Java.
It's like, man, I mean, in most cases, I'd say that the feeling is still the same as I had, but no, this is a case where it just makes things feel worse. Worse. They try to give the Prince and Elika more personality, effectively making them all the more unlikable. And I know that there's this saying, don't make your characters likable, make them complex, but they are neither likable, nor are they complex. It's clear as day that these two are too dumb to live.
Alex the Large from Clockwork Orange is complex. He's not likable in any way, but he is complex. Like Joe said, these characters are neither likable. If you can't make them likable, at the very least make them interesting. You didn't do both. Dr. House is complex. He's not likable, but he's complex. Go ahead.
I mean, Elika could have been, somewhat likable and complex, but then they make her all pissy in this DLC here.
Not just that. Well, go on. I'll explain more in my final thoughts.
Don't get me wrong. She has every reason to be pissy, but then there's this weird ending where she's like, oh, there's no hope. Oh, wait, no, there is hope, so let me go to my people. And it's
Which, by the way, up until that point, just a note, up until that point, she still claimed that the remaining aura had been extinct. But now I don't know where she's like, oh no, there probably are out there, I'm gonna search for them. Consistency, what's that?
Jesus, and thus the prince is left there to, I don't know, die, face evil on his own or something? I don't know, and I no longer care thanks to how this game handled him. Like, holy cow, they go the whole mystery route with him, and now I think I know even less about him thanks to this DLC. Great job! And you know what? I want to know less about him, because he's just that terrible. This DLC fails. I mean, this DLC is literally reusing assets, and yet they don't even reuse them all properly. They don't reuse all the bosses, which would help add some variety. They don't even use properly the same fight as Armin, which in some ways could be seen as an improvement, but still just feels weak. And the
Let's
fight
go to the
against...
Blue Valley for the 5th time. That will work.
Honestly, it says something when even Fairy Fence Ref didn't feel this repetitive. And Fairy Fence Ref could get very repetitive, but this feels even more so that. Maybe it's because it's shorter and I can actually get to this stuff sooner, but gosh dang. And I'd rather follow Fang and Aaron than these heroes. At least Fang and Aaron got stuff done productively. These two accomplished nothing. In fact, they accomplished the opposite of anything. They made stuff worse.
Indeed.
All right, Tio, ring us out.
Yeah. I'm pretty much told everything I needed in the rest of the DLC. The prince, he becomes this despicable figure. At least with the main game, I gave the benefit of the doubt that he just had no personality. We were trying to make him the rapscallion rogue archetype, which has such a heart of gold inside. But no. This is. I usually tend to get behind sometimes despicable characters, even in some cases where I shouldn't. But this was one case where it's too much even for me. Like this is like the limit even for me. It's so incredibly despicable. What the priest was, and all for it for just a huge gambit, but he doesn't even know it will pay off. Not just that, mind you. He keeps lying to Elika just to prove his point. I want to emphasize that is also a big important thing, because the mere fact that he just revived her and the PR man, you can say, oh, power of boner, like he's just a perverted he's just a perverted guy who doesn't think straight. But no, he has this particular malicious moment here. And mind you, it's also even one of the optional dialogues. You could potentially not even trigger it if you want. You could just steamroll through it and you wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with a story that has technically bad people as the focus, like Clockwork Orange Brew. The problem is when you do something like this, you have to be very careful about what you're doing, because unless you have something to counterbalance that, all you're doing is annoying the audience, basically.
But Elika also is just a disappointment here. At least in the main game, you can argue, okay, she's a messiah archetype, and she has, the burden to prove on her. But here, she just feels as tired as the audience, and in the end, she just admits that basically she didn't even want this.
She literally rage quits the game.
Yeah. And this is kind of a problem also to me on the voice acting. Keep in mind, the first time I played this was with Italian voice acting, but remember, this DLC doesn't have the Italian voice acting because it doesn't multi-file localized. So I get to hear Kari Wahlgren for the first time. My biggest experience with Kari Wahlgren, I know that she voiced stuff since the end of the 80s, but my biggest experience with Kari Wahlgren was her voicing Ashelia Bernard in Dalmasca in Final Fantasy XII, one of the main characters, in case you don't know. For as much as that game has a cut plot, Ashe is one of the central focus there, and her personality is very important, and interactions included, and also her morality. It's very great in true Matsuno style. But hearing that same voice actress stuck with this role for this kind of type of story, it was heartbreaking to me, honestly. That we wasted a voice actor. I guess you could argue that it's better than just hiring someone who gives even a worse performance. But this was also just another thing to add to the pile. So this is the worst Prince of Persia game for me by far. No, by none. The Warrior Within has the possible excuse that he had. It's just your teenage with a bad phase. This is just.
Warrior Within is fascinating. This game is just flat out completely forgettable and devoid of any kind of personality.
At its worst, Warrior Within is not even. I know doesn't reach these levels. I will still defend at this point. If you ask me. But anyway, I dragged this too long, and also the paragraphs were too long. This has been the reboot. Unfortunately, the adventures of this particular prince don't end here, because Ubisoft wanted to make a new trilogy out of this and already had plans for a sequel, but due to the despite 2+ million sales on this title and the initial relatively positive reception, Ubisoft had to change their plans and make the sequel for the Nintendo DS. Don't worry, it's not immediate.
They pulled a Mistwalker.
Pretty much. For the far future, don't ask me why. Sorry, Coverage General is not going to be now, in case you're asking. But tune in eventually for Prince of Persia, The Fallen King. The good news is that it's better than this, but to be blatant, everything can be better at this point because we reached the bottom. See ya.
Ta-ta.
See ya.